Lauren Rainbow talks tough, swears often, and wears a bulletproof vest. Not your average social worker. She's on her phone a lot.
Here we go. Hold on. This is Lauren.
Lauren works for Snohomish County in Washington.
Hey, Sam. I know, I heard. Dude, you were almost at a year. I know, man. You're not walking into a lecture. It's all good.
The person is on the phone calling to let Lauren know he's relapsed after not using drugs for a whole year.
You've been kicking ass, and it sounds like you are wanting to get back into treatment, and let's make this a stumble, not a fall down the Grand Canyon.
Lauren is answering this call from the passenger seat of a police car. Her coworker, who is driving, motions for her to hand him the phone.
Hold on. Deputy McCurry wants to talk to you. Hold on. He relapsed. That'd be nice.
Sam. What are you doing, man?
Be nice.
I heard.
1 mile.
Are you okay? Yeah. All right. Are we gonna fix it? Okay. Well, let's fix it.
All day long, this social worker and a cop drive around the county helping people struggling with addiction and homelessness figure things out. You're listening to Finding Fixes, a podcast about solutions to the opioid epidemic. I'm Kyle Norris.
And I'm Anna Boyko-Wyrock. Today, we look at a program that Snohomish County created a few years ago to help a specific population, those struggling with homelessness and addiction. The answer they came up with was to embed social workers in the police force. Together, they'd bring services to people out in the field. And this program has helped hundreds of people recover from addiction and get into permanent housing. Kyle's going to take over this episode and tell us more.
Lauren and Bud have finished their phone call with Sam. It's a rainy day, and their cop car rolls into the driveway of a big house in a nice neighborhood. It's in Marysville, Washington. It's a clean and sober residence, and they've come here to pick up another client named Brittany Sullivan.
Well, hi. How are you?
I'm okay.
How's things going?
Going.
Yeah.
When Bud and Lauren met Brittany, she was living in the woods with a heroin addiction. Now she lives in sober housing. She just finished a month-long detox
I
program.
gotta ask you, and I hope you remember. What's up?
I will no longer let my demons. Oh, okay, hold on.
It's okay.
I release my demons and open up my mind and heart into the journey of recovery. I will learn from my past and stay in the present. I am remembering that destiny is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. My name is Brittany, and I'm thriving in my recovery today.
Outstanding. Congratulations. Proud of you.
I had to remember that.
Today is a big deal for Brittany. She hasn't used drugs for 38 days. The drugs got in the way of a lot of normal growing up.
I haven't adulted for a long time. Well, I don't think I've ever adulted, honestly. But now I'm starting to adult and trying to figure it out. So I'm nervous. Nervous. This is my 7th time to treatment. Sad but true, but this time it's gonna work for sure.
She's also dealing with some serious medical issues. She says it's a lot to handle.
Life without not having to use. I mean, it's exciting and stuff, but it's like, I don't know how to do that. But I got a lot of tools in treatment, and we're taught a lot of skills, and I'm ready for a step away from the bullshit that I had to put myself through and all the stupid shit. Yeah, I'm over it.
Brittany and Bud go outside and meet up with Lauren, the social worker.
I've been trying to call. It's okay.
They pile into the car with Bud and Lauren up front and Brittany in the back. Lauren talks to Brittany through a see-through window barrier. Lauren gives Brittany a heads up.
This first day or two, there's going to be a ton of information thrown at you.
I've already had so much thrown at me.
I know.
I'm just like, oh my god, I don't know what to do.
Day planner?
Yeah, definitely need one of those.
So I don't expect
Lauren says they're going to go buy Brittany some groceries and personal supplies like a toothbrush and shampoo.
And Lauren?
Yeah.
I have a warrant out of Marysville.
You have a warrant?
Yeah.
Okay. Because you're a public defender.
I have no idea. Probably don't have one.
I'm code 4.
You can't quite hear it, but Lauren says, without batting an eyelash, well, let's go find out if you have a public defender. So Lauren picks up the phone. Like we said, she's on the phone a lot. She talks with clients and family members of clients. She'll drop off donuts to people who might be able to help clients. This program that teams up social workers with police officers is making a difference in people's lives. So when Lauren calls lawyers and officials and judges, they're willing to help. Okay, just to recap here. Brittany is inside a cop car with an officer and a social worker, and she's got a warrant out for her arrest. But she's about to go shopping where 3 more police officers will show up. Not to arrest her, to celebrate her. The opioid epidemic was bad in 2015, and County Sheriff Ty Trineri was feeling it.
We have people that are being arrested 30 and 40 times in a 7-year period that are addicted to heroin and committing crimes to support their habit, and they're in and out of our jail. They're in and out of ER rooms. They're in and out of courtrooms. They're needing services. When you look at how much we're spending on those people, sometimes $500,000, $1 million a person each, I think you can say that the traditional method doesn't work.
The sheriff knew he had to try something different. So they had a big meeting with the county, law enforcement, human services, health officials, and they all brainstormed ideas. That's how they came up with the Embedded Social Workers pilot program, which is technically called the Office of Neighborhoods, although I find that a bit clunky. Social worker Lauren Rainbow says the basic idea is to visit people in need in the field and ask them what they want to accomplish. Then bring services to where they are or drive them to services. Here's Lauren.
In the first few weeks when we're meeting a person, we're figuring out like who they are, why are they here, what's been going on, what do they want. You know, we never come in with an agenda for people. That doesn't work. They've seen that a million times over, and I think people are relieved when we ask them, what are your goals? How can we help you get back to the life you want?
Lauren says the first thing that a lot of people need to do is get their ID.
Because their stuff gets stolen every single day. And you kind of need an ID to do almost everything. So we'll take them up there, we'll get their ID with them. We'll make sure their medical insurance is up to date. We'll grab some McDonald's, make sure they have their EBT card. And then we'll start, scheduling all these things and so we can move forward. Obviously our clients most of them don't have transportation, so we'll go pick them up and we'll go grab lunch. We chit chat, actually learn a lot about our clients during those drives.
The long-term goal is to connect people with detox and treatment and 6 months of housing, but also deal with their legal issues because many of the clients have them. Then ultimately help clients figure out the next steps in their lives to living drug and crime-free. In the process of all this, the cops and social workers can become people's support systems. Sometimes they're one and only support system. Helping individuals does a couple of things. First, it means county departments aren't so overwhelmed. Second, it potentially cuts down on crime. In 2018, the sheriff's office saw a 20% drop in things like burglaries and car thefts. And those are crimes that people struggling with addictions often commit to get money to buy drugs. Now, it's going to take a while to analyze exactly why crime went down. But each person who gets addiction treatment and housing is one fewer person potentially committing crimes. Like Sam, for example. Remember him? He was on the phone with Deputy Bud McCurry at the start of the episode. The deputy told me that Sam was one of the most active burglars around. Once the team helped get him into treatment, he stopped committing crimes. So by helping one person, the workload for the police was immediately made lighter. Meanwhile, in the grocery store parking lot, 3 more cops have showed up because they know Brittany. One of the officers previously arrested her. And at the end of today's shopping trip, that same officer is going to load her groceries into the trunk of a cop car. They're here to celebrate Brittany's achievement. But Brittany is nervous because her previous experiences with police have been bad. She remembers the first time she met up with Lauren and another police officer at a cafe.
Usually I run from the police instead of going and sitting down and having coffee with them.
Brittany and her boyfriend went in to meet them.
They actually gave a fuck. And it's really Like normally, like the police that I've dealt with, none of them really care. They're just, gonna lock you away. And they think that's helping the community, and it's not. Like really, like me and my boyfriend, for instance, like we just needed help, we just needed to get off the streets and get clean, and they gave us that chance, and it's pretty awesome. Huh, Lauren? That you gave us a chance to live.
Yeah.
Right.
You
You guys are intimidating over there.
Brittany points to the 4 police officers waiting for her in the grocery store in full uniform with guns.
Really? Them?
Yeah.
No,
Big
they're
group
just
of
a
them.
bunch of marshmallows and Kevlar. They're nothing.
Brittany hasn't shopped in years.
Let's just go down all the aisles. Any juice? You a breakfast juice kind of person?
I don't know what I like. This is new. This is new to me.
She needs a lot of help just deciding what to buy.
You like tuna fish or no?
Nope.
All right, what about mac and cheese?
Of course.
Everybody likes mac and cheese. Grab some of that.
They also hit the section with personal items.
Mac and cheese.
Grab a few more. So can you imagine, coming from homelessness to, let's go down this aisle, get some deodorant and all that stuff. Been living on the streets for a few years. You go to treatment where you're thrown into a rigorous schedule, wake up at 6:30, breakfast, communal chores, go to your first group, counseling, very different life that, wait, body wash, you need body wash. There you go, get a loofah. And then after that, we drop them in a house. Yay, now you have a house and you have this schedule. Here's all your appointments you need to meet. But they don't have any bed sheets. They don't have any food. They don't have anything to take a shower with. No shampoo. No, that's not part of re-entry into the life that, really has been the goal for so long.
Lauren says this is a fairly inexpensive piece of the puzzle. Some of the money for this program comes from a sales tax. Individual cities in the county also chip in. The money is used differently for each client, but it can be used for things like groceries and housing. Lauren says that having some of your own food and new personal items can help people feel good and feel ownership of their new spaces. Lauren was around the corner making a phone call while Brittany was shopping. Now Lauren's back, and she says, Brittany, you do have a warrant for drug paraphernalia.
So basically, he's like, well, they want her to return to custody. And I was like, yeah. What? So, no, just relax, hold on. So I said, we're really starting to work with the Marysville courts. So far, they like us a lot. My hope is that let's get the prosecutor, who is a big fan of our program, and the judge, who also is a big fan. Let's tell them what you've been doing, what you're doing now. And
the courts want Brittany back in jail. Lauren is going to try and help Brittany stay out. The idea is to help Brittany move on from her former life, living in the woods and using drugs. The way to do that is to help her ease into a normal life with mac and cheese and body wash, with supportive housing free of drugs, not by sending her back to jail. The Office of Neighborhoods team is small. It's got 7 police and 5 social workers. It's located in the county's new diversion center. That's a place the county created for people like Brittany. Folks struggling with homelessness and addiction and mental health issues can stay there for short-term housing instead of staying in the woods. And while they're there, they can get connected with services and long-term help. This job requires that cops and social workers do their jobs in new and untraditional ways. We met up with Bud and Lauren and Sergeant Ian Hurry in their old office to find out more about how the program works. The place was pretty small. On a bulletin board, they kept track of their clients and charted their clients' progress through detox, treatment, and housing. These coworkers like to joke with each other. Someone had mentioned to my co-producer Anna that Bud was a Marine.
Are you a former Marine? Is that what
I
they're saying?
am, yeah. Yeah, Semper Fi.
Could you just tell that, by his, physique, or is it what really gave that away? I'm just curious.
Somebody said it.
Bud has been in law enforcement for almost 20 years. He's got a beefy build, bulletproof vest, and is weighted down with weapons. Before he did this, he worked in a high-intensity unit with long hours and physically tough work. He says he likes this job with the Office of Neighborhoods better because it's about building relationships and helping people. He often says at this job, he's a professional hand-holder.
A heroin addict in a camp needs to be shown the way. You literally have to hold their hand through this entire process.
He says the job is a lot like caring for a child.
If I need to get my daughter to a doctor's appointment, what do I as a parent have to do? I have to go wake her up. Well, we have to go wake our clients up in their tent. I have to get my daughter cleaned up and ready to go. We need to make sure that our clients are able to go to this appointment. We get our clients food, coffee, whatever it is, to get kind of their motor running. It's that constant engagement. It's that building that trust. Kind of, we're their cheerleader.
One thing I want to note is, so you're talking about, we're professional hand holders and all of that.
Yeah.
From where I stand, you have 2 guns on you, pepper spray, and a knife.
That's all you can see.
When you approach somebody, are they seeing a professional hand holder, or are they seeing your badge?
They're not. When we first started down south here, we had people run from us in the camps, and we would stand there and yell, "We're here to help."
After they helped a few people in the camp, others saw that it worked, and word spread that these cops, they were okay. It's a drizzly and muddy day out in the woods behind Costco in Marysville, Washington. 2 police officers and a social worker walk down a well-worn trail. They hop over a dirty mattress that someone laid there as a bridge across a creek, past scattered trash piles of old food containers, and needles, empty pill bottles, and foil with burn marks used to smoke heroin. Walking into homeless encampments and other places where people are squatting can be dangerous. And at the heart of this program, police are here to make sure that it's safe for the social workers to do their jobs, especially in potentially dangerous situations like this one. The trio come to a fork in the trail and a cluster of tents. Sergeant Ian Hurry says, "Watch where you step."
One thing that you're probably not picking up on the microphone is the odor. I don't know if you guys smelled that when we walked over here. A lot of urine.
You guys mind if I step up on the...
We're somewhere close to the bathroom,
We're
so
not
just be
running
careful where you
names, we're
step.
not checking for warrants or anything like that. We're just having a chat.
The folks in these tents are homeless and struggling with addiction. They're breaking the law in all kinds of ways, by camping here, by using drugs, and having things on hand like pipes and syringes. The police are not here to arrest these people. They're here to ask them out for coffee. The second officer you heard in the background is Mike Buell with the Marysville Department. It's a city in the north part of the county. Mike has approached a tent with a few people inside, maybe 3 or 4. The tent is on wooden pallets, and he asks if it's okay if he steps up onto the platform. Mike introduces himself to one man and says he's not here to run any warrants or arrest anyone. Then another person's head pops out of the tent.
So, hey, how long you guys been camped out here?
Mike hands out some business cards. He asks the people in the tent how long they've been camped out here, and how long they've been homeless. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad do they want to get out? One woman says she knows about this program, and she's already talked to someone.
Hi, Crystal. I'm Mike.
I'm guessing you've heard a lot about me.
Well, hey, that's all right. We're gonna keep pestering you. But I'm gonna write my phone number down on another card. So, anybody else need my card with the number?
No, sir.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'll take one too.
Absolutely.
A man in the tent says he's heard a lot of great things about the program. Mike asks Crystal if she's scheduled her mental health assessment. The answer is no, but she says it is something she was thinking about.
Right. Well, it shows that you're taking that step to want to get better and get in the program, right? Okay. So, I mean, and that's part of it. But like I already told you, we're your transport. We're basically your Uber. We'll get you to and from your appointments. We'll have meetings. We can feed you, get you a meal, get you coffee, and get that stuff all taken care of. So, anybody that's on board, you can call that number. I'm old. I go to bed pretty early.
Then social worker Elisa Delgado steps up and introduces herself to the folks in the tent and jumps into Mike's conversation. She asks people what services they want. She listens. Then she tells them exactly where they'd need to go to get those services. This next moment has always stuck with me. These people are deep into addiction and live in a tent. They're pissing and shitting in the woods. Their clothes are dirty and their eyes are sunken in. They just look horrible. And I'm guessing their world is about survival and drugs. They don't live in a world of calendars and planning things like coffee dates. Yet Mike asks them if they can meet on Monday, like it's the most normal thing in the world. He's kind of cheery about it.
What's better for you guys, Monday or mornings or afternoons?
Afternoon.
What's that?
In afternoon.
The afternoons?
Yeah.
How about 1 o'clock at Starbucks?
Sounds good.
And I mean, one or all of you. Amber, I'm pleading with you. Go get that mental health assessment done.
Yeah, I gotta go.
You know, this is the biggest area that staff feel this program falls short in, and that's dealing with people's mental health issues. They say they can't force anyone to get mental health help because it bumps up against the issue of civil liberties. And the county says it doesn't even have enough services to meet the high demand. But back to who will show up on Monday.
All right, guys. Go ahead and zip her back up.
It's a wild card. Everyone in the tent might show up, or no one might show up. Either way, the officers and social workers will be back in a few days to check on them and talk with them and try and set up future coffee dates. Not that long ago, 26-year-old Dylan Fulfer was living a life a lot like those people in the tent. He was living out of his car with his family on the streets of Everett, deep into an addiction to meth, heroin, and marijuana. He was getting arrested several times a month for things like trespassing. He met Lauren and Bud when they approached him on the street and gave him their business cards. He thought they were approaching him to tell him he was in trouble. Down the road, Dylan ended up getting arrested. He said to his attorney, "Tell Lauren Rainbow I'm here and I want to go to treatment." She showed up the next day. 2 days later, she got Dylan shipped off to a treatment center in Spokane. Lauren and Bud have made a real difference. Dylan says,
"When Bud says something, I'm all ears."
Since becoming their client, Dylan has changed the way he feels about social workers and police. He says Lauren and Bud are cool and caring.
When I went to my first drug evaluation, we were riding back from Evergreen Recovery. He kind of told me, he was just like, "All right, picture this windshield like it's your life, okay? And people live to about 80, so you cut that little part off. And you're 26. I was 25 at the time, I think. So he's like, all right, you're right here. You still have this entire time to put your life back together." And that has stuck with me this whole time.
They also keep things pretty real, especially Lauren, who teases him about his very long dreadlocks.
She always tries to hackle me about going to the barber and getting my hair cut. Every single time I talk to her, she's just like, "So, do you make that barber appointment?" And if I ask her to give me a ride somewhere, she's like, "All right, well, we need to make a stop by the barber." And I like that, you know. And
why do you like that?
I don't know.
It's part of the rapport building. It's part of trust building. Dylan knows that, we would never give him a hard time about his hair if we weren't on a comfort level and knew that he was on a comfort level with us, and that there was a really strong trust to be able to, kind of joke around with him like that. He and I have worked together to overcome some huge barriers in his progress, in his case. There's been a few bumps in the road, you could say, and I know that I was the first person he called and knew that he could tell me exactly what was going on, and there wouldn't be a hint of shaming or disappointment or anything other than, "I'm glad you told me." That's practicing accountability and honesty, and I admire that. Let's move forward. Let's fix this. We got you.
Bud and Lauren have gotten Dylan out of jail. They took him to treatment, found him sober housing, helped him get his license, and then write a resume, apply for, interview, and eventually get a job, working for the county in its new diversion center. Dylan says he needed the opportunity to change. These days, he lives in a clean and sober house with other men in Everett. He wishes that Bud and Lauren would win some big award and be recognized for what they do.
They open doors for people, and it just matters if you want to walk through it. Once they opened that door for me, I ran through it. I didn't walk through it. I was tired of living that kind of life, and if it wasn't for them, I would still be out on the streets in a tent.
When you combine social workers and police officers, a couple things can happen. For one thing, they open doors for each other. For example, a social worker who is accompanied by police can walk into an ER and quickly get to their client, much quicker than if they were by themselves. Another thing is that the police have learned some tricks and tips from social workers. For example, there's an expression Lauren says to clients: "Let's make this a stumble, not a fall down the Grand Canyon." That phrase is something officers have started to say to clients as well. Lauren calls it her relapse line.
I always know as soon as the phone answers and it's the tone, it's that pause, I always know. And I'll sometimes, even if they're having a hard time getting it out, I'll say, just go for it. Just tell me it's not going to be as bad as you think. I promise. I won't yell, I won't lecture, I promise. And go. And they'll say, all right, so here's what happened. I relapsed. Things haven't been going well. And so our stance is that, we don't get mad. We don't say, you're a failure, you let the program down. Not at all. This is part of working with people in recovery. There are going to be stumbles. There are going to be falls. I always tell people, let's make this a stumble, not a tumble down the Grand Canyon, in that let's get you back in detox and treatment now. We'll start the whole thing over.
She says clients relate to this approach because they know if they keep using, things will not end well.
Let's not go rack up a bunch of new felony charges. Let's not burn a million bridges. Let's not go potentially overdose and die. Let's not find you 8 months later in the camp, far worse off than when we first found you.
That non-judgmental response is what Office of Neighborhoods is all about. Several staff members said this approach also helps strip away the shame so many clients feel. Shame that can hold them back from making changes in their lives. Snohomish County says their program is making an impact. The county combines its numbers with numbers from the city of Everett's embedded social worker program. Here are the numbers from the first half of 2018. Each month, teams had made contact with more than 100 people. Of those people, 30% had completed the first step toward treatment, an evaluation of what kind of treatment they should get. In the first part of 2018, these teams had gotten 125 people into stable housing. That's 20% of everyone they reached out to. 80 people had completed treatment. That's 12% of folks they reached out to. And even though we're talking numbers, remember, these numbers are people. They're people who are no longer living in a tent in the woods behind Costco, no longer surrounded by their own filth and needles, and no longer potentially committing crimes to get money to buy drugs. Other police departments around the state have taken note and reached out to learn more. A police captain from Eastern Washington recently came to shadow officers and social workers out in the field. If you ask the cops and social workers the best part of all this, they say it's the text messages that they get from their clients on Thanksgiving and Christmas. People who, when they met them, were addicted to heroin and living in tents, but are now sending thank you texts that say, "Hey, I'm doing good. I'm with my family and it's Thanksgiving. Thank you."
And thank you so much for listening. In the next episode of Finding Fixes, we'll check back in with Hallie and Monty. They're a couple in recovery for opioid addiction that we're following. Recently, we chatted with them in their car after an NA meeting. Something was up. Their recovery just got even more important.
And I was like, "Are you serious?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Are you joking?" And they're like, "Why would we joke about that?"
Hear that story and much more in episode 5. Finding Fixes is a project of Investigate West, a nonprofit journalism organization working in the public interest. Our team includes Anna Boyko-Wyrock, Kyle Norris, and Julia Drachman, with help from Paul Kiefer. Elisa Barba is our editor. Joan Kane is our fairy godmother. Music by Jake Weholt and Josh Woodward. Photography by Leah Nash. Find us on social media and online at findingfixes.com. leave us a review on iTunes, if it's a nice review.
And hey, one more big thank you to everyone we met and everyone we talked to for this project, especially people struggling with addiction and their family members. And a big thank you to everyone of Snohomish County.